Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video, I'd like to discuss the more interesting features of the Tommy Robinson rally yesterday, including the way they now seem openly hostile to Nigel Farage. But first, for daily political commentary, please click the subscribe button so you don't miss out. So we're at a bit of a calm before the storm moment in politics again here. We have the long-awaited budget this week, then the conclusion of the Tory leadership contest a few days later, then the presidential election in the United States a few days after that. But we also have another factor potentially brewing, the Tommy Robinson movement. Now, he's become noticeably more prominent over the past half a year, certainly, being amplified by Space Karen after he was allowed back on Twitter, repeatedly breaking serious laws. He's in court again on Monday. And of course, in no small part, inspiring at least and potentially even organising the summer riots. And yesterday, a large demonstration was held in London, which Tommy Robinson was unable to attend because he's on remand to make sure he attends court this time. But despite his absence, there were still some very interesting takeaways from the rally yesterday. So give credits to Hope Not Hate here for having a good running commentary on the proceedings. For those of us trying to observe it from some distance, they are, of course, very much involved. The first is attendance not quite as strong as for the contempt of court rally from this July. From estimates, it maybe seems that there's a little over half of those attending yesterday, although it's still a sizable group. Perhaps more would have attended if only they weren't in prison for kicking the shit out of communities or trying to murder people in hotels. Second takeaway was that the behaviour was still largely on form. Now, there weren't reports of mass violence this time, which was good. No horses were punched either, but they were still pissing on the streets. Now, I'm going to say to those, because I've seen a few little comments here, to those familiar with London who go, look, there's public toilets just down the road there. No, there's not. No, there's not. Every time I've been to London on a Saturday to Westminster, the public toilets are always locked up. All of them. I've sometimes done circuits, spent an hour and a half going around all the public toilets, every single one of them locked up. That is the case every time I go there. So either they only do that when they know I'm coming to town, as if to say, go back up north, you northern monkey, right? Or public toilets are in fact locked up around Westminster, at least on Saturdays, at least after summer, right? But that is still no excuse for mass urination on the streets. I manage not to. I'm sure they could as well. Mind you, I manage it by not sinking 6 pints before wandering around the toiletless streets of London. So I can only imagine that this country they want back, which has never existed, by the way, would be constantly smelling of piss. I don't know what else these people have to do to show the rest of the country how little respect they have for the country. They piss on doorsteps, smash people's houses in so that they've got the bricks to lob at police and other members of the community. They burned a Citizens Advice Bureau, for goodness sake. Literally serves the most vulnerable, downtrodden people in the country. They absolutely hate this country. Like, people imagine they just hate certain people in the country. No, they hate the country itself. You do not see these guys going out to help with community projects or even help clear up the mess made by their more destructive brethren. No, they hate every part of this country. Whatever country they want back, it's not this one. They build nothing. They only destroy and despoil. Third takeaway, they seem to really hate Nigel Farage now. At least some of them do. For those of you who think this might sound a little bit odd when you cannot put a Rizzler paper between their political positions, it's related to the summer riots themselves. So Nigel Farage, when people were starting to say, right, hang on a minute, what about the people inciting it? And it looked like, people inciting it could be feeling the long arm of the law. Nigel Farage went a bit quiet to make sure he wasn't implicated, right? Then, I think it was after about a week, it was a good number of days anyway, he put out a video statement, presumably very carefully lawyered, certainly very carefully scripted. And in part of this video statement, he was basically saying, oh, it's nothing to do with me, Gov. He blamed Tommy Robinson for the riots, but not himself, right? So obviously that attracted a lot of condemnation from Robinson supporters online. And this feeling was expressed very forcefully, according to the reports, from at least one of the speeches yesterday. The fact that anyone has taken the effort to, in front of a load of Tommy Robinson supporters to say that Farage has stabbed them all in the back creates an interesting little split there within their little community. Suggests that if they get the opportunity to drop Farage in the shit, they will take it without hesitation. I think they hold grudges, these people. Fourth takeaway is that one of Robinson's mates passed on a message that he would like supporters to protest outside whichever prison he's incarcerated in if he's found guilty this week. And do you know what? I'm going to suggest he's probably going to be found guilty. Not sure how this works, given that they believe Starmer's like this evil tyrant who locks people up he doesn't like. Because according to some of Robinson's brightest minds. So they were using facial recognition technology yesterday in order to identify them so they can lock them all up over the next week or so. So unless it turns out that they're actually idiots, they may have to protest from inside rather than outside the prison, you know what I mean? However, given that I don't think we're actually going to have dawn raids on Tommy Robinson supporters over the next week, I did come up with a solution on the stream last night, which I think should satisfy everyone. See, there's a Scottish island that the other Robinson, the fake vicar Calvin Robinson, wanted to buy. Although I think his name is actually Robinson. But anyway, my suggestion is that the government buy it, build a small prison there, put Robinson in it. If his supporters want to go there to protest, fine, let them. Lay on a ferry to take them across, and the proceeds can be used to not only maintain the ferry service, of course, but actually meet the prison running costs as well. Everyone's happy. Robinson is banged away. His supporters have to keep going to the northernmost point of the UK to air their grievances. Transport services get some money out of it, because you know what? It's a hell of a long way from Luton to the very northernmost point of Scotland. There'll be no streets to piss on. Robinson supporters get to feel they're doing their bit. And it'll cost them so much money to do that, they won't be able to give Robinson as much money. But then he doesn't need it. Can't go on holiday from prison, can you? And the fifth takeaway was actually from Hope Not Hate themselves, who were obviously following all this. So they noticed that a lot left the event early, although you could say, because it was so tortuously long, you could understand that. And the crowd, but they said that the crowd didn't have the same energy without Robinson there. And they're wondering if there is actually anyone charismatic enough to take over the movement should Robinson disappear from the scene. Because although, you know, he's not going to be going to prison for a very long time due to a contempt of court. It's like, you know, it's a maximum 2-year sentence. Now, he is very, very contemptuous. He might well get that, but that still realistically means as long as he behaves himself inside, he's out after like a year. And I don't think crying in prison is a reason to deny parole. So he could be out after a year and that would be it. However, the police are investigating other activities. And that will hopefully now include his part in the riots this summer. So, you know, potentially we could see him inside for a lot longer. He certainly should be getting longer than the people he incited, right? And sure, he can remain a rally point while he's in prison. He's like a sort of martyr figure, isn't he? And his mates can organise his grifting on his behalf, although he won't be able to spend it on extended foreign holidays whilst at His Majesty's pleasure. But would there be anyone to really attract the new cultists? And of course, if the police were able to charge Robinson with more serious offences, it's quite likely the same evidence would snag others in his cabal as well. You know, what if a large part of the organisers within the organisation of the movement find themselves behind bars? Would they be able to continue? Because if not, what we're seeing at the moment is Robinson's gaining prominence. He inspires violence and murder. We've seen that over the past few months. And unlike Farage, who can lose political power if the government just improve people's standard of living, Robinson only needs to feed on the hate of others. He's not after political power, right? He doesn't need anywhere near as many supporters as Farage for it to be profitable for him either. But we'll see over the next year or so, I suppose. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button and subscribe. And if you'd like to support the channel further, you can click the join button for memberships. Thanks for watching. And until next time, I'll see you later.